What's happening, Jet Nation? This is GreenBean, and today is a special day because I have been allowed in to hallowed ground, the NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame today. I am in a secret back room that no one gets in. Only inductees get allowed in here, but today they've let me in here. And the reason that you know it's so special, because this is where they all have to reference if they try to understand and remember when this whole thing got started. They all come in here and look at this right here. As you can see, September 9th, 1963. That's when the place started. So for today, I have been allowed to believe that I too am a special NFL fan. They're just letting me buy in. They're supporting the whole idea. I think I might even get like a Diet Coke later. I think somebody was saying earlier. It's really a neat experience to be able to be let in here in the secret room. I saw the secret chair that Roger Goodell let everybody sit in. So we're going to start this in such a way that it's appropriate to the New York Jets. You see, we have a very specific relationship with the Hall of Fame. Number one, there's not many of us in here. There's that. And up until very recently, there was only a few. There were three, really. We had, obviously, Joe Namath, Don Maynard, and our coach from the same era, Weeb Ewbank. And over the past few years, we've been allowed a little bit more honoring with Kevin Mawae, our longtime center, and Curtis Martin, our longtime running back. It's a shame with Curtis Martin because one of the reasons he got in here was the 10 straight seasons with 1,000 yards rushing. He was going for his 11th, which would have put him the sole owner of the record. Right now, he's tied with Barry Sanders. He would have been the sole owner of the record, but that year he got injured and only had 687 yards or say 867 yards, something along those lines. And he ended up having to just settle in as tied for the record, which is kind of a bummer. It's a very Jetsy thing to do, but he is in the Hall of Fame. Now, the Jets do a sneaky little thing where we have quite a few players in the Hall of Fame, but they're only kind of Jets players. You see, we have Art Monk. Remember Art Monk? Art Monk was with us for a hot year, but that year he was able to break the consecutive catch record. The consecutive games with at least one catch. Art Monk caught that pass for the New York Jets in Giant Stadium. I was there. I cheered as if he had built his whole career with the New York Jets. As we know, he did not. He was a longtime Washington Redskin, and then he even went back and retired as a Redskin once he left the Jets. So our relationship with him is somewhat of a blip. He did break the record with us, but he was with the Redskins, broke the record with the Jets, went back and retired as a Redskin, kind of to insinuate that the Jets thing never happened. But he's one of ours. When you look up the Jets in the Hall of Fame, Art Monk pops up, which is nice and neat. What about John Riggins? What about that fella? Remember him? Interestingly enough, his claim to fame was with none other than the Washington Redskins. Won that Super Bowl against Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins. All that sort of stuff, but Jets fans love to say that he's ours. He was one of the best running backs the New York Jets ever had, and that may be true. I do remember having a card, John Riggins card, and he had a mohawk. Back in the 70s, it was like, wow, look at that crazy, out-of-the-box guy. He's such a rebel. He had a mohawk in like 1979. You do not see that every day. Now everybody's got a mohawk, and everybody's got tattoos, everybody's got their hair painted. It doesn't matter anymore. But back then, he was a trailblazer, and he was on the Jets for about 10 minutes, and then went and had a real career elsewhere, and we claim him. So he's another Jet in the Hall of Fame. What about Ed Reed? Remember Ed Reed? Ed Reed's one of the more recent ones. He actually just thanked the Jets for letting him spend time with us, and he did have a good year, and he was really good for our young players and all that. But again, what's he really famous for? He's a Baltimore Raven. Everybody knows that. And after he was done with his pleasantries and his induction speech, he gave his little pleasantries, and he said, I want to thank the Jets. I want to thank the Texans for letting me end my career there and all that jazz. And he said, but now that that's done, Ravens! Remember? Yeah, we got to see that, but we count him, so he's in there for the Jets. Now, once we start getting to some of these other guys, we're going to get a little bit more real. Kevin Mawae's first 3 years was over with the Seattle Seahawks. And then he spent 8 seasons with the New York Jets, and he was dominant as a center for the New York Jets. Remember, we used to see Kevin Mawae pulling from the center position and being able to lead block on either side of the line. He was a fantastic center, and he's well worthy of being a Jet in the Hall. But interestingly, toward the end of his career, he did go to the Titans and finished his career there with 5 more seasons. So he was with the Jets for the longest. He honored his team, Vinny Testaverde, Wayne Corbett, those types of folks, even Chad Pennington, when he went into the Hall during his speech, which was a fantastic speech, by the way. If you haven't seen it, take the time and watch it. It's fantastic. But he did honor his time with the Jets, and I can pretty confidently say that he is a New York Jet in the Hall of Fame. Then we have Curtis Martin. Curtis Martin, again, first 3 years with the Patriots, but after that, he's a New York Jet now, isn't he? He got the rushing title as the oldest running back ever to win the rushing title, 1,600 and change yards. He did that while he was with the Jets, and he had the most years with the Jets, and he obviously got that consecutive rushing record of 1,000 yards each of his first 10 seasons with the New York Jets. So there you go. He's ours. Now, let's get to some of the legendary guys. We have Joe Namath, the only quarterback in the Hall of Fame to throw more interceptions than touchdowns. Is that good? Is that a good thing that our quarterback was so great, such a dynamic personality that he actually threw more interceptions than touchdowns and he still had a Hall of Fame career? I don't know. People have poked me with that one over the years. Yeah, great. You're one guy in the Hall has this going on. So I don't know. I know there are people that say, I never got to watch him play. Joe Namath was the best quarterback that we ever had. Joe Namath was the best quarterback that you would have ever seen if you got to watch him back then. And obviously his personality was so large that he's still Broadway Joe today. So I think it's not a question that he earned his spot in here, but that is an interesting stat that he has, and he's the only quarterback in the entire building that has that distinction. More picks than touchdowns. So I'm going to choose to flip it and think it's a positive. What do you guys think of that? Is it a positive? I'm in. And then we just had a guy honored. His career, he was never really honored for being a Hall of Fame caliber player, but Winston Hill, our longtime offensive lineman, was just inducted as well as a legendary candidate. One of our longtime offensive linemen, 10 years with only missing 1 snap in his entire 10-year career, 3-time Pro Bowler, DeBrickashaw Ferguson, was just on the list. He just reached eligibility, and he actually made it through the first round of voting. He's not a first ballot. Obviously, we know what the class is, and he's not in it. But he was on the docket this year, and he did make it past the first round of voting, which is a good sign. So he's a candidate coming up. We have Nick Mangold, who's a candidate coming up. I think he'll be a little bit easier to decide whether or not he should come into the Hall of Fame. I think he's a 3-time All-Pro, if I remember correctly. And then we have Darrelle Revis. I think Darrelle, out of the 3, has the best shot to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. We don't know. He did have some iffy things towards the end of his career, allowed himself to get fat and lazy and just kind of ran around and rolled around the field a little bit. But he did make that Pro Bowl in 2015, and that does count. It does count. So I think Darrelle Revis just might be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So that's our list, essentially. That's it. We got Weeb, we got Maynard, we have Namath, we have Curtis Martin, we have Mawae, and then we have all the sneaky guys. Even Ronnie Lott made it into the Hall of Fame. He had 3 years with the Jets. He did. So we have quite a few of those guys. And guess what we're going to do this year? We're going to do it again. We're going to sneak in the back door of the Hall of Fame. We are coming on the back of Mr. Alan Faneca. Played 2 years with the New York Jets. 2 very good years, very fun years. But it's kind of an interesting and sad and yucky way that it ended. If you guys remember correctly, Alan Faneca was our starting left guard for a couple of seasons. We got to the AFC Championship game, and he was starting to wear down a little bit. This was toward the end of his career. He was still serviceable. He was still a good left guard, but Rex and Tannenbaum were looking to improve and upgrade the position. So they went in the second round and they grabbed, you know who it is? You remember? That's right, Vlad Dukas. We grabbed Vlad Dukas in the second round, and almost 10 minutes later, we let Alan Faneca know that we were no longer going to need his services. So we cut who was going to eventually be a Hall of Fame guard for Vlad Dukas, who, as we know, is not necessarily a Hall of Fame guard. Fair enough. He did have a career. Most of it wasn't with the Jets, and that is what it is. But so Alan Faneca is getting inducted, well-deserved induction into the Hall of Fame class of 2021. And you know what? We have every right to claim him as our own. Most of his years were with the Steelers. Then he was with us. And then his last year was in Arizona with the Cardinals. But so we're second on the list. We're second. So we get Alan Faneca. So it's kind of a Jets thing that we've been doing lately. We got Art Monk. We got Ronnie Lott. We got Ed Reed. We got John Riggins. And now we have Alan Faneca. So how do you guys feel about it? I feel pretty good. I'm psyched to be here right now. I'm psyched to be in the building when a New York Jet is getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. I'll tell you a story. Last time I was here was the year that the Cleveland Browns were being let back into the league. We had a very good friend of mine, was a high-level executive for the Cleveland Browns, and he got us all tickets to go to the Cleveland Browns opening game, their first game back in the NFL. And we had all kinds of different fans, and we were going to go welcome the Browns back with a big sign. But the day before the game, we came here to this building. We came to the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. And it was really interesting because the year before, the Jets actually made it to the AFC Championship game against the Denver Broncos. Now, some of you might know this. Most of you probably don't. But I'm a big-time Kiss nerd. You know, the band Gene Simmons, that stuff. That's me. I love Kiss. Since I'm 4 years old, I've been a diehard Kiss fan. I've seen him 25, 30 times live. I've taken my son. My son's seen him 5 times live. So we're big Kiss fans, and it just so happened that the Jets were looking good with Bill Parcells, Vinny Testaverde, Keyshawn Johnson, Curtis Martin, Kevin Mawae, Wayne Corbett, that whole team. We were looking really good, and then right around 2 weeks before the AFC Championship game, they announced that Kiss was going to be playing at the Super Bowl. I swear to you, I thought the clouds had opened up. I thought that God was finally looking directly at me saying, GreenBean, this one is for you. Your Jets and Kiss are going to the Super Bowl together. Here's my gift to you. And I was so excited. And then we went into the half, 10-0 against the Denver Broncos. We were having the best time ever. And as we know, they came back and they beat us. And I looked back up at those clouds, and it was weird. It was a weird scene. It was like 30 clouds this time, and they were all laughing. All of them. They were looking down and pointing. There was all kinds of gobs of toilet paper and stuff coming from the sky, big spitballs and everything. It started raining and thundering. It was terrible, and I felt embarrassed, and I just started to understand right then what it was really like to be a Jets fan. Like, we have these issues now, like Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas didn't sign Zach Wilson. Am I worried? No. Because I didn't hear Kiss playing the Super Bowl yet. There are layers and layers and layers of pain waiting for us as Jets fans. I've been through it, man. I know what it looks like when it's really going to hurt. This is an easy one. It's going to be fixed very, very soon, guys. Even if it is a week, whatever. It's all going to pale in comparison to the Jets getting to the AFC Championship game, being up 10-0 with Kiss playing in the Super Bowl and losing. And then Atlanta shocked the Vikings, and we would have stomped Atlanta's face in. Remember that? Yeah. So when I came to the Hall of Fame that year, that was right on the heels of that. And guess what they had at a big centerpiece display that I got to walk in here and see a Paul Stanley Kiss guitar signed by Kiss with the Denver Broncos flag and the Atlanta Falcons flag overlapping each other. And I heard one more little hee from the sky at that moment when I saw that. That's what it felt like. I felt like the whole world was laughing and pointing, like, you actually really thought you were going to win? You actually thought this was going to happen? So now that I'm here again, I'm looking for a nice, smooth experience. Curtis Martin's been inducted since I've been here. Kevin Mawae, Ed Reed, Winston Hill, all these guys have been inducted, and in just a couple days, Alan Faneca is going to be inducted. So I couldn't be happier just to have an emotionless, no pain, pain-free experience at the Hall of Fame. This is going to be good. It's going to be a good one. Now, as I walk through the place, I'm going to continue to show you all of the displays that have to do with our New York Jets. I'll try to avoid all the Tom Brady stuff, and it's kind of, I don't even know. I haven't been in there yet, so I don't know what it's going to look like. I imagine it's everywhere. I'm going to try to avoid anything painful. I'll show you Joe Namath. I'll show you Curtis Martin. I'm going to show you everything that we have in this place, and I'll see if I can find that Kiss guitar. See if it's still in here somewhere. I'll show you that one too. Let me know in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to Jetnation.com, and obviously if you need more Jets talk than you're getting on Jets Twitter, it never ends on Jetnation's forums. You can find us on YouTube at Jetnation and the Jetnation.com forums. There's no place like it. Articles, videos, podcasts, and nonstop Jets talk. Thousands of new posts every single day. Get on over there. I appreciate you watching. Enjoy the rest of the video. And go Jets. Not bad. Dude, I cannot believe I remembered all that shit.
I was like, wow.
Dude, there was a guy in my brain like, oh my God, Winston Hill. What year was it? I couldn't believe it. I just kept talking. I was like, I actually remember this? Ed Reed.
It's in there.
Ronnie, Art Monk. I mean, I was like, I pulled out a game. I was probably 19. I'm like, I was at the game 19. This happened. Like, I don't know how. I don't know where this is coming from.